At Lee Air, safety is our number one.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. There you go. Okay, you should be able to hear us now, Facebook. As I was saying that this is a continuation of classes into the Constitution of the Bahamas, a deep dive into the Constitution of the Bahamas. And our professor is Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson, who has not arrived to the studio as yet. So we're going to obviously have to wait patiently for him because he is the constitutional man, and he is the one who's going to actually guide us through this and help us to understand what it entails and what our rights and responsibilities are as far as the Constitution is concerned. And he often says it that never, in the past 50 years, has he seen such heightened interest in the Constitution of the Bahamas, which he clearly welcomes, because he's been in the wilderness for a long time trying to get people to pay more attention to it. And now that we see, I guess, a younger generation who is not doing things by the book as their forefathers would have done, but is very much interested in the Constitution and the rights that are afforded to them therein. We're seeing more and more people now interested in what the Constitution has to say. Come right in, Professor. We're waiting on you. Professor Thompson has arrived, just walking into the studio now. And so Professor Thompson is the man of the hour every Monday here on GPS, because he's the one that actually guides us through. Boy, Professor come sharp today. He has slick back and all. He ain't playing with y'all today. Suit right down,
Right
hair
down to
slick
the point.
back. Oh, Lord.
I
Welcome to the show,
got
Professor.
to shave or not?
Huh?
You see what I'm saying?
What?
You gotta look good, Michelle.
Professor going to shave it off. Oh, sookie now.
Amen.
Y'all stay right there. Okay, so Thompson Dorset is saying no sound, but I don't understand why, because we have everything open that's supposed to be open. So we do, right, Jason? Yeah. So I ain't sure what's going on with Thompson Dorset sound, but everything is, the microphone is open as it ought to be on our end. So welcome back, Professor Thompson.
Yes, good. Good
Always
afternoon.
good to have you.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
All kind of things been happening over the past couple of days.
Have been happening, and it just shows that we have to be alert, and we have to understand what is happening in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We have a whole series of problems.
Wait 1 second. Jason, I need you to come back to the, they're saying that there's no sound on Facebook. So please make sure everything is open that's supposed to be open on the main camera. Is that microphone? I know the microphone has been unmuted on the main camera, but is the part open? Okay, I'm not sure why they can't hear us then. They're saying that they can't hear on Facebook, but other people saying Facebook is okay. Okay, so I guess it's just a handful of people. I ain't sure what's going on. Okay. All right. So yeah, Professor, I'm sorry to have interrupted you. Go ahead. What you were saying?
Yeah, the thing is that there have been any number of issues that the Bahamian people are concerned about,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing. But again, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is the document. We ought to see everything through that Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
That is the supreme law of the land. And anything that's supreme is the highest. And so when I look at anything, I always say to myself, what does the Constitution say? My sisters pester me with questions. What does the Constitution say?
Mm-hmm.
While people may have their opinions, their ideas, their suggestions, their comments, that's fine. We don't interfere with that.
Right.
But I think the truth has to be told to the Bahamian people. And those who know better ought to assist and help them to understand what is going on. And that's what I try to do
Mm-hmm.
as honestly as I can. There are constitutional questions that are hard to answer. And if one does not know, then one ought to check and see exactly what the situation is before
Right.
you say anything.
Right.
But what I've been hearing is a whole lot of things being said which are not true. And it's very unfortunate. So people are very much confused,
Mm-hmm.
okay, over the issues. What does the law say? What does the Constitution say? Then, of course, you have statute law
Mm-hmm.
and you have other laws, comparing them with the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that we need accurate and precise information. So I try to be as honest and as straightforward as I possibly can, as I understand what the Constitution says. Not my opinion, not my idea, not my suggestion. Those things mean nothing
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about what the Constitution itself says. So it's a work in progress. And I think I'm very glad to see that Bahamians are questioning their constitutional rights, their constitutional freedoms, their constitutional privileges. That is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
It only can help us to go further. But in the midst of all of that, you have a lot of confusion. But that will clear up.
Okay. Are you satisfied that we have sufficiently covered Chapter 2 and can move on to Chapter 3?
We have a little bit more on what is, but I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did, yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is that, when we're doing 24, we're gonna, it's a piece.
We
in there
skipped
that we-
ahead to do 24,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
I
okay.
thought we finished 24.
There was a part in there that we were supposed to cover toward the end, those different points
Okay.
in relation to the different sections that they said where they would take justifiable action. And it talks about the the various points right there in Article 24.1,
Okay, so let me read 24 again then
Yeah.
before we move on to chapter.
15.
Yeah. Just
So I think we finished 14.
right.
Yeah.
So I just got to find Article 24 on the
Hmm.
Constitution document. Okay. So I'm reading the whole of 24.
Yeah.
Okay. So 24:1. Except with his consent, no person shall be hindered in the enjoyment of his freedom and of peaceful assembly freely and associate with other persons, and in particular to form or belong to political parties, or to form or belong to trade unions or other associations for the protections of his interest. 2.
Right. Mhm.
Nothing contained in or done under the authority of any law shall be held to be inconsistent with or in contravention of this article to the extent that the law in question makes provision A, which is reasonably required, 1, in the interest of defense, public safety, public order, public morality, or public health, or 2, for the purpose of protecting the rights and freedoms of other persons, or B, which imposes restrictions upon persons holding office under the Crown or upon members of a disciplined force,
Yes.
and except so far as that provisions, or as the case may be, the thing done under the authority thereof is shown not to be reasonably justifiable in a democratic society.
Right. Now, we did explain that last part
Mhm.
about just about, but those points we talk about defense and public order, public safety, that kind of thing.
Okay.
We didn't cover those points right up in there.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
break it
Let's
down.
break it down.
In
Yeah.
the entrance of defense,
Right.
what are they referring to?
That has to do with defense of the country. In other words, there may be a peculiar situation where a determination has to be made in relation if there's some attack on the country or some problem that comes up.
Mhm.
You may have to withhold persons from exercising that right, but it has to be justifiable. Remember now, the Constitution said it has to be justifiable in the interest of what? The defense of the
Mhm.
country.
Mhm.
That takes precedence over the right.
Keep going.
Oh, okay. I got a little distracted there.
Yeah.
See, what the Constitution says, as we're going to see in Article 15 when we get to it.
Mhm.
The thing is that, yes, these are unfettered rights you have on Article 24.1. That's fine. But it has to be looked at in the interest of others. That's specifically spelled out in the Constitution. Where, in the case there may be a problem,
Mhm.
you may not be able to have that full enjoyment of your freedom of association. It may be a time of war or some other problem that may come up. But in the interest of defense of the country, not somebody's personal view or opinion or idea. They just jump up and say, hey, we're going to do this.
Right.
It doesn't give them that right. It has to be justifiable when they take these things under consideration. You just can't take away people's enjoyment. We are free to assemble. We are free to gather with others of like mind. And you can't just jump up tomorrow and say, no, you can't do it. But in the interest of the defense of the country, that's a different kettle of
But
fish.
who interprets what is in defense of the country? How is that?
That is a good
governed?
question. I'm glad you asked that. And it's going to have to be the authorities in office who will have to determine that because they're the governing authority. All right? Now, what the Constitution also says, you have to be justified in your action. You have a statute law you want to apply, you will have to be justified. In other words, it must be justifiable in a democratic society. We're not in a totalitarian society.
Mhm.
A lot of people just forget that, you know. We are a sovereign, independent, democratic state.
Mhm.
And so at the bottom of this article, you will see where it says democratic society. So when you make these decisions, it has to be looked at in the light of you not just going to jump up and say, I'm going to make this decision because I can make the decision.
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense. There has to be real justification. Why are you saying you're doing this in the interest of defense? Is the country really in a position where there is an emergency, there is a problem where that needs to be done?
So, do you believe that is why the former Prime Minister may have thought within his head that denying, remember he said we may have to deny your constitutional rights. Do you think he was thinking within his head that this was a matter of national defense or maybe public safety? Why he figured that he could make that kind of pronouncement?
He never clarified it. That's the problem with him. He didn't clarify what he meant. So when you just jump up and say, like he made that statement about the Constitution, because I heard it very clearly.
Right.
I was very disappointed. That is not the way you're supposed to behave. Where is the justification for that kind of remark? That's a dictatorial attitude. Remember now, we are in a sovereign democratic society. That's not democracy. Where is the evidence to show? Where is the justification to show for you to say something like that? There's none. There never was any.
Okay.
So this is where you have an abuse of power. There has to be, and the Bahamian people have to see it, that the decision being made is a justifiable one, that they in a democratic society can say, yes, Mr. Prime Minister, we can work with that. But there was no justification at all. It was just a statement made right out in the open, boom, I'm going to suspend your constitutional right. What kind of crap is that? That's not justifiable. You cannot see Article 24.1 is an unfettered right that the Bahamian people have. Every person in the country has it. The only way it could be superseded in the interest of others, the right of one particular personality or a small group of individuals cannot supersede the right of the country as a whole. The Constitution spells that out very clearly. So you have to show justification as to why you're saying to me, I cannot demonstrate, I cannot enjoy my freedom of association, because you have to enjoy it. And the law must make provision, the statute law must make provision for that to occur at any time when you need to do so.
Well, the second point, where according to the Constitution there may be exceptions, is when it comes to public safety.
Of course. Public safety, the safety of the public, the protection of the public. Okay? You may find in a case where, for example, you may have any number of entities wanting to get into that particular space or that particular area where you may want to do something. Well, a determination has to be made. And then you should be informed of that. See, this is not something that should be done in a vacuum with somebody behind one closed door say, well, I want this and I want that. No. You have to inform those people in a democratic society with a justifiable reason or reasons as to why you're saying to me, Professor, you can't do it at this point in time. See, you just don't jump up and say, no, you can't do it because I want you to do it. I don't like you. I don't feel like you should have it. That's not your right, because I have the right. I already have it. 24.1 says, except with his consent. You can't negate that. But whatever you come up with has to be reasonable and has to be justifiably reasonable. You mean people can't reason anymore?
Don't seem so.
It doesn't seem so. But you must understand the founding fathers of the Constitution wanted to have a just and fair society. I think they have done so much for us, we don't even give them the credit they should have. They want to talk about some people that somewhere else gave them one piece of paper and say, that's what you're all going to be. It didn't happen like that. That's foolishness. That's nonsense. If you read carefully article after article after article, and Miss Michelle Malcolm, you know we were doing this, right?
Mhm.
Where some things are specifically worded, even you see in 14, which we just recently covered. People born on a registered aircraft, people
Mhm.
born on an unregistered aircraft,
Right.
people born on a registered ship, people born on an unregistered ship. The Constitution specifically spells that out.
Mhm.
Now, when we come to 24, we see where here's an unfettered right that you have as a citizen, but under certain conditions, justifiable reason in a democratic society, we may have to curtail something.
Okay.
Because you may have, and this may be an unusual situation. I don't think it happened recently
Mhm.
in the last instant. But I'm just simply saying something can come up, something can happen where a determination has to be made. No, we can't accommodate all of you at this particular time.
Now, what is the difference between public safety and public order? Because we see public order is the next.
Public order.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
that? What is that
Well,
about?
things have to be done in an orderly fashion.
Mhm.
That's why I tell people there's nothing wrong with informing the commissioner of police. You write him and you tell him. You're not seeking his permission to do what you're doing, but you are advising him of your intent to do a particular thing.
Mhm.
Now, they're responsible for order in the land. You're in a public place, so someone has to be responsible for order, right? There are many others who are using that public space. And so if there's no order, you have confusion. Everybody just doing their own thing and acting as they please.
Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
The safety of the public, the protection of the public, that's another thing. You have to have order, one, and you have safety, two.
Right.
And it applies to you and your group as well, because the man has to see to it, or those who are responsible for public order
Mhm.
has to see to it that you and your people are safe as you enjoy your freedom of association and coming together for a specific cause or purpose. So
Okay.
you have the order and you also have the safety. Two different things entirely,
Mhm.
but you have to have both.
Okay.
And so the police are responsible for order on the streets.
Mhm.
That's their job. Not to say, well, I like you, you can't do it. That's foolishness. That's utter nonsense.
Okay. I have some questions as it relates to some activities that took place over the weekend
Yes, ma'am.
involving Lincoln Bain and
Yes.
a lady by the name of Mrs. Curry. They are claiming that they have papers in hand
Right.
from the courts, which gives Mrs. Curry, who's a landowner in the Bahamas, whose land has been squatted upon by persons in the shantytown. And she claims that she went from person to person, agency to agency, without getting any resolve. And finally, the courts told her, you have permission to do what you need to do. I'm paraphrasing here,
Yes.
because that's your personal private land. And they gave her the authority to have the shantytowns removed, and the homes in that shantytown removed from her property.
Okay.
Now, according to what they said over the weekend, and they were streaming a live video,
Oh, okay.
they gave these people several notices in Creole. They said they've been there several times. Mr. Bain claims that prior to him getting involved, Mrs. Curry was actually threatened by persons within the shantytown.
I heard that, yes.
Told her she can't come back to her property. So anyway, she gets the help of Lincoln Bain and his crew, and they go there supposedly with a court order and police
Yes.
to have these structures demolished after so many warnings.
Mm-hmm.
But you had one individual show up and say, y'all don't have no right to be here. Y'all can't do this. So in a case like that, people are confused.
Yes, they would be. They would be confused. Has that individual been identified?
BK Bonamy, I believe, Junior.
Oh, the Assistant Commissioner of Police or what?
I believe he has a high position in the police.
Yeah.
So it's confusing
okay,
because
yes,
they
okay.
went there with the police.
With the police, yes.
With police officers.
Right. Then you had another one came and say they could not do it.
Right. So like what is this a schizophrenic operation? I don't understand what's going on.
No,
Many people
that is a good point. that
many
you
people
brought
are
up.
confused. So
Yes.
so constitutionally, did she not have a right to do what she did as the landowner?
Yes, she would have that right once the court would have given her the permission.
So where does it fall under 24, based on what we're looking at right now?
Yes.
Public defense, public safety, public order, well, we haven't gotten to it yet, public morality or public health.
Yes.
Where does that fall under anything that we would have read thus far in 24.1, 24.2a?
Well, I would say the two we're talking about now.
Yeah.
Public safety,
Right,
public order.
right.
Because she, if I understand you correctly, she had the permission from the court to do what she was
So they
supposed to
say
do.
yes. They
Okay,
said she
fine.
had a
That's-
paperwork
That's
to.
the paperwork.
right.
Okay, fine. Now you have someone else from the authorities who's supposed to be seeing to it, public safety, public order, comes out and says you can't do this or you
Right,
can't do that. So
right.
that's right there's a contradiction.
Right.
And it puts you in a dilemma. Where do I go now? What do I do in this particular case? I believe those persons, and let me say this very clearly to the Bahamian people,
Mhm.
see no word of any one particular personality. I don't care who or she is. That doesn't mean anything to me. Because people have been taking it upon themselves to say this, to say that, because they say it. You can't do it.
Mhm.
There's no reference to constitutional law at all. There's no reference to the fact that you have documentation, you went through the process, you got the order,
Right.
I now can perform. I think they should have gone ahead and do what they had to do. Because, see, you can't have an individual come at the last minute and say, hey, you can't do this. What authority gives that particular person to do that? Because they may be more senior. That's foolishness. That's utter nonsense. That doesn't make any sense. This is why, Ms. Malcolm, you find that people have lost respect for the authorities, and I have some challenges with the police myself too. But I'm simply saying that they are responsible for public order, one,
Mhm.
public safety, two. They had the police with them. So the police being there to carry out those functions, public order, public safety, and then someone else comes and says, no, you can't do this.
Mhm.
That doesn't make any sense at all. See, that's where the conflict comes in. But I think they should have gone ahead and do what they had to do. There are times, as Malcolm, where, you got to do some unusual things, I always tell people, your rights in this Constitution, you don't know when, how, and where they're going to be challenged. I tell people that all the time.
Mhm.
I don't know when they're going to challenge me, but if they come, they better come with sense. But I'm saying to you that it doesn't stop persons from interfering with your rights. You have to stand up and say, no, sir, I don't agree with you. I have everything here in order. I'm going still full steam ahead.
Mhm.
And you tell him that. Whether he likes it or not, that's his business. There are times when Bahamians got to learn to understand you're going to have to take some unusual actions, and I see that coming, which are lawful for what? Article 24.1 again, and I keep telling people this all the time, for the protection of your interests. The woman was protecting her interests.
Mhm.
She has every right to do that. And no officer could come back and say, you can't protect your interests. She has the right to protect her interests. The Supreme Law says that. And she did what she did. She complied. with the statute law. And now this one comes and say, no, you still can't do it. That's utter nonsense and foolishness.
So Marissa is asking on Facebook, did the senior police come with documents overriding the documents the landowner had, or just his voice? And she says, this is extremely disturbing. Well, go ahead. Go ahead, Professor.
I'm glad you read that. And I'm happy that she put it the way she did.
Right.
It is extremely disturbing. See, there are certain persons in this country who believe because of a position or status they may have, when they say something, that's what it is. And I will tell them bluntly to their face, that's not the way it works. Because that's, in my view, that's just an opinion. That's a suggestion. That's a comment. That's an idea. But it doesn't have to be right. You just can't come in and trample on people's rights when they're about to do something. They've gone through the process, did what they were supposed to do, and now you come say, because of what I say. And it's a good question. Did he have something to override what they had? Now, that's a different kettle of fish altogether.
Yeah, I don't know that he
We don't
did
know
or
that.
didn't know it. I know
But
one thing
there are
on the
some-
video that we saw, he didn't seem to produce any
Well, you
documentation.
see, I wouldn't be surprised we didn't. That doesn't surprise me at all.
That's not to say he didn't have it, but based on the
But
live that I
no,
watched.
But then you are supposed to show cause, justifiable reason. That's what the Constitution says.
Mhm.
Where is the justification? Where is the reasoning? You don't just come up and say, hey, this is what I say, and that's what it is. You have to stop talking foolishness. That's why we have problems in this country. That's why people get very disgusted with those who are acting in those particular positions. I'm not surprised at the way how it went, because I believe what you say. But the thing is that people need to understand that you cannot supersede the constitutional powers that citizens are granted under this Constitution.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm, to you and your guest.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
I don't know what the show is about, but I just got home and I really wanted to voice my opinion about the situation with the lady. My thing is, Ms. Malcolm, if you have a landlord and the landlord tells you or give you notice to move, you have to move. And then if they take you to court and the court say you have to move, you have to move.
Yes.
But my problem with this is the government just comes and tell you what you got to do. In every situation, we march. They told us we have to move. They lock us up. We speak. They don't listen. Now, what message are they sending to these people? What message are they sending? If we can stand up for our rights and they just come up and say, okay, you all have to move, you all have to go, and these people have the victory. And I really wouldn't call it a victory. I'll just call it, they win. So how does that make us look as Bahamians? How does that make us look? Because every time we stand for what is right, we get marched down by our own government. And that's a problem with me because that makes us look quite silly as Bahamians.
Okay, so caller, before I let
opinion.
Professor answer, I just want to ask a question because we need to be very careful the terminology that we use on this show.
Okay.
Because one could argue that we shouldn't say, in this particular instance, we can't say the government because police officers did accompany them there.
Exactly.
But yet another officer comes and says, you can't be here. So
Okay.
in the same way you could argue that the government sent the officer who said you can't be here, you could argue that the government sent the officers who were accompanying them to get the job done.
That was my point.
So I think we need to be very careful at how we determine who is behind these actions. And I'm not saying that the government is or is not, because I really don't know. But the point is, you can on the one hand say, oh, it's the government, when the government's police officers, if you want to call it that, because they're supposed to be separate, so you really shouldn't refer to the police as the government.
That's true, yeah.
But the police officers accompanied them there.
That's the point, Ms. Malcolm. How could we have two sets of law? One law said you can go, and the second law comes up and say you have to move.
Right,
So that's a problem.
it is.
That's a serious problem because to me, it seems like they're not on one accord. This person is doing what they want to do, and this person is doing what they want to do. They didn't go there by themselves.
Right.
They went there with an officer.
Mm-hmm.
And then a second bunch of officers came and told us, you have to move. So how does that make us look? It's like we have two laws.
And thank you for calling. And in the meantime, your point, Professor, is we have one supreme law.
Only one. See, and I'm listening to what the caller is saying, and it appears, see, not because someone says something, it is lawful. It's an opinion. It's an idea. It's a suggestion. It could be strictly unlawful, not backed up by any law, even though that particular personality may be coming from, or it appears to be coming from, because they got the uniform on and all of that. But it could still be unlawful without constitutional authority. See, everything has to be based on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This particular lady in question and the others with her have constitutional rights. They're not abrogated just by somebody saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. They went through the process. And they were given, as we understand, permission to do what she wanted to do. She went through the process. Public order, 1. Public safety, 2. Those 2 apply.
Right.
Justifiable reasoning. Where was the justifiable reasoning from this particular personality? See, that's where the problem comes in. So I can understand her saying it's like 2 laws. But you can't have no 2 laws.
Right.
It's only 1 law. That's the Constitution. Now, you can have, and I'll clarify this for her, you can have a violation of your constitutional rights. That's a different kettle of fish altogether. So not because you have those rights, enjoyment of your freedom of assembly and freedom of movement and freedom of conscience, you're not going to be challenged at any point in time to say someone does something or is prepared to do something, even a group of people prepared to do something, to challenge that right that you have. And in this particular case, this was happening to the lady. So there's confusion right there. Okay? And that should not be. That should not be at all.
One of the things that I thought was suspect as I watched the video, I didn't get to see it live, but I watched it after the fact.
Yes.
One of the things that I thought was suspect was when Mr. Bonamy said to Mrs. Curry, I want to have a conversation with you, but just me and you, no social media, nobody else in this conversation. I don't do social media, so turn this social media off and just me and you, I want to have this conversation.
Right there, that's a big problem right there.
Hold on now.
That's a big problem.
What's really going on here?
She should not even accede to that. You say, officer.
I don't think she did.
Okay, well, that's good then. Because see, right there, that's suspect.
That's a red flag.
It is a red flag.
Because what you got to say to her that you can't say in front of everybody else.
That's a red flag right there. See, I know the nature of them fellas, you know. I know the nature of them. This is why sometimes I'm extremely disappointed with the way the Royal Bahamas Police Force behave, or certain persons in that force behave, because it shows a poor reflection on the law enforcement entity that's constitutionally mandated for public safety and public order. So they mess up everything. Well, let's say the particular personality or persons mess up everything. And so it puts the citizen in the country. So I can understand how the lady is feeling. Okay, and she has a right to feel that way because you say, look, like it's 2 different laws, one for them and one for us. So people draw their conclusions. To me, as a constitutional personality, I see it differently. Because I'll have to tell that particular person, where is the justification? You just can't come with word of mouth. Where's the justification? Reasonable justification. That's what the Constitution says. But if none is presented, then we got to move on. We got to listen to you.
Are we at the point now where We pretty much got to be walking around with a copy of the Constitution in our pocket, so that when they come with these things that are necessarily right according to the Constitution, we got to pull that out and say,
maybe,
Constitution.
but I'm not going to discount it, Ms. Malcolm.
Mhm.
Maybe people need to, but they have to understand and know it, because I think some of these personalities who think there's this and that don't know a thing about the Constitution.
Mm.
So they maybe think others just are going to go along. See, if it was me, I would react differently. My reaction would be different because I know better. Now, a lot of other people would probably be afraid or
No, they try to intimidate.
yeah,
on that.
no, but they can intimidate them. But once you know what it says, I will tell you
You
to
could
your
stand your
face.
ground, yeah.
You could stand your ground. But I know a lot of people can't do it. So I understand the lady, and even the other lady, I understand how they would feel.
All right, we have a call on the line.
Yeah,
Caller,
okay.
welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Miss Malcolm.
Good afternoon.
I'm not sure what or if our Constitution addressed the question of eviction. But I know if you want to get someone out of a house, you need a court order. You don't just show up with sledgehammers and all.
Well, according to
manner of
them,
things.
she went to the courts and got a court
Yeah,
order.
then.
She had the
Did they-
paperwork.
I didn't see them produce no court order. I had a man say they have to go to court.
No, that's not my understanding. My understanding is she got a court order. They were able to provide the instructions of the court in both Creole and English,
Yes.
so that nobody could say they didn't understand. But from what I understand, the case was. But there's something that we're missing here, and the point that you're trying to make. Hold on, caller. The point that you're trying to make is, if this is a person who's within the country legally and they're renting from someone, the landlord can't just kick them out. The landlord has to go and get a court order. But this is different because we're not talking about people who are here legally, who are renting from this woman. We're talking about people who have come into the country illegally, allegedly, and are squatting on this woman's land.
Yes.
This is two different conversations.
Okay.
But according to them, she did go through the proper channels and she did get instructions from the court to go ahead and do what she needed to do to reclaim her land.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I heard the particular, as the professor would say, entity or personality said himself at the end of the clip that yes, they need to go back to the court to get some, I guess, verification or clarification or consent to do what they were doing. So I'm kind of confused. Either you have it or you don't. Now, I know they mentioned something that they had from the ministry that I think the government had said from the year of the pandemic. They cited something from the Ministry of Works. But in terms of specific eviction, I'm not sure they had that. And that's why they stopped and said they will go back to the court. So I don't think...
I would have to do more investigation. I was under the impression that they did go through all of that. They did go to the courts. The courts did give her permission. Yeah. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. But from my understanding, they had a court order. But I think we're missing the point.
I think we are missing a lot because these particular personalities, as the professor would say, they are sharp enough and shrewd enough to show and reveal things to the public if they have it, and won't leave it as vague as this. The fact that everything is in some veil of secrecy and they didn't even show it to people makes me wonder, is it really there?
Again, I think they did show that to people, but this is neither, I hear what you're saying, but my point is, and the caller, we have another caller we come to right now. My point is this, we jumping over the main thing here. Yeah. The main thing here is, number one, this is this woman's private land that she would have been granted through going through the proper process. Number two, we're talking about people who are there illegally. We're not talking about people who came here legally and, attained this property legally. We're talking about people who are squatting on this land illegally with no rights to be here in the first place. So let's not ignore that to argue about her right to evict people from her property when they ain't supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I mean, I agree with you on that note, but in that case, first of all, they need to identify all those who should not have been there.
Nobody should have been there because that's her private property. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But the lady herself said she rented it to some. What the man?
No, she said she did not. She said she did not rent anyone, even though some of them were claiming that they were paying her rent. She said she wasn't collecting no rent from nobody. Now, there were a couple of persons on the property who didn't own the property who say they was collecting rent. I know you can collect rent on somebody else's property, but that's another show.
But the lady gave a name. She said she rented it to a guy named so-and-so who's supposed to farm it. I guess this guy then must be subleased it.
Probably. So according to Jillian says Mrs. Curry has all her information from the court and ownership, but she had no help giving them off. The police was there before they ran the police. So this has been going on. This didn't just start this past weekend, apparently, but this has been going on for months.
I see.
Where this woman has been trying to get these people off of the property. And from what has been said, and again, I don't have any evidence in front of me to say whether or not what has been said is true or not, but they said that she went through the proper channels. She went to the courts. She went to the various departments, immigration, whatever else. She got no recourse from them. Finally, she was able to go to the courts. She got the documents that she needed to ask these people to move off of her property. And these people pretty much gave her the finger and told her, you better don't come back on this property. Now, again, we cannot miss the main point. We are not talking about people who are here legally renting from someone. We are talking about people who are allegedly here illegally. And they admitted, some of them on camera, that they didn't get any permission to be there. So how you can tell me, as the owner of the property, that I don't have a right, even with documents in hand from the court, to tell these people who is supposed to be there in the first place that they have to vacate the land? What kind of Mickey Mouse operation is this? And even like, it's like Professor said, when you're trying to find out the truth of something, they say it's three sides to every story. It's your side, it's my side, and it's the truth.
Exactly.
There's only one true north. And in this conversation, we've been discussing the truth for the past several weeks and months. The truth is what the Constitution of the Bahamas says.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the Constitution, was this woman within her rights, Professor, according to the Constitution?
Yes, she was, yes.
They thought the Constitution sounded like that whole land needed to be taken back and given back to the government.
Why?
It sounded like everybody violated what they should have done.
How so?
Because the lady didn't develop it as she intended to.
Not according to what was said. They said that she had started farming already on it. They destroyed all her crops allegedly. They broke down her house allegedly that was there. So, I really think before we get on the radio and start making all of these assumptions, we need to do more research.
Yes.
Because it sounds to me like this woman did everything by the book. Now, if you have some information otherwise, you need to come and tell us what that is. But according to the information that I have heard, this woman did everything by the book and was threatened by these people not to come back on on property that she had a right to be on legally.
Yes.
And these are people who ain't supposed to be in this country in the first place.
I think that lady ought to let the public know that.
They already did.
You can't just let a handful of people. She had this published so we all could see it. I don't even think
this information
there would not even be a question as to what needs to be done there.
But the point is, some people said on camera, no, I don't have a right to be here. They said it on camera.
But I'm talking about what the courts didn't do, what the police did not do. If she have evidence, she should publish these things so we could find out exactly who was negligent, who in the court, which judge you went in the front of and we buffed you, which police officer, which station. Let us know who these people are so we could deal with them ourselves.
So if she decides to publish the documents that she has, then what?
Then we in the public know, a lot of times people spread propaganda.
Yeah, okay.
Spread
So we
lies,
in the
but at
public
least
would
now,
know. And then
but
what?
now at least we know
And then what?
that this is not just talk.
And then
There's
what?
evidence.
And then
Then we know
what?
what to do. The same thing you're doing now, we'll continue to talk and agitate. But at least we now know names. We know who.
Why
and we know
you gotta
where.
go through all of that when you have a Constitution of the Bahamas that speaks to this? Why?
Because people will always debate the Constitution.
No. See, that's where you're going wrong.
No, people will
And
debate
that
it.
is why we've been talking about this Constitution for the past several weeks.
Yes, but
You,
people will debate it
how you gonna debate what is clearly in black and white? It's no
because
debate.
as long as it's in black and white, I will see gray, you can see black, and the other one can see white until we
Professor,
iron out exactly what it says.
I can let you answer him, Professor.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's why
I
you call
wanted-
Professor.
Yeah, I wanted to answer him. I heard all the rigmarole he was going through.
Mhm.
But obviously, he doesn't understand the Constitution.
Clearly not.
What I'm grateful about is the fact that people are waking up to their constitutional right. That's a wonderful thing. Because
Mhm.
right now, as I've said to a number of people, the things that he said, what she need to do, are totally unnecessary. All right? The police force is responsible for public order and public safety. That's in your Constitution. So when there is a problem, the woman went through the procedures and did what she was supposed to do, according to statute law and constitutional law. She is to be afforded that protection, public safety, public order. That's why she went with the police. And the matter is supposed to be settled right there and
I
then.
really can't understand how the police would show up if she didn't have
Well, that's just
Well,
my
rights.
point. That's just my point.
right.
So the thing is that, we can't have endless debates. And let me just say this to the caller. We aren't here to have endless debate. The purpose of these shows here on Mondays is to educate the masses, to understand what it says, and then act according to 24:1, the only place in that Constitution which gives you the right to protect your interests. You don't sit on the information. You don't keep debating it for the next 10 years. That means nothing. We would have wasted our time, you and I and others who are involved in this, would have wasted our time if all we're going to do is keep debating. No, we need to start acting. The lady did what she was supposed to do, and she was acting on her constitutional right. That's what a lot of us need to start doing.
And quite frankly, I don't see what advising the public or what the court said, what that got to do with the price of tea in China.
It has nothing to do with
What
it
does that
because
have to do with the Constitution?
that has absolutely nothing to do with the Constitution, because the Constitution doesn't demand that she have to do that.
Exactly.
She did what she did constitutionally. See, I tell people you need to be constitutionally sound. That is why I say to people, you're going to have all kind of distractions. Right now, Ms. Malcolm, you have all kind of confusion about the Constitution in the midst of the fact that people are interested in knowing the truth.
Mhm.
And I'm delighted that they are, which means I got to wake up. That's all that means. All I'm simply saying, I am not surprised at the tremendous misunderstanding by certain personalities in the public who are putting this crap out there. But that's all right. All of that going to be pushed aside and buried in the sea.
Okay, I want to read a comment from Facebook. Y'all just got me in trouble because it's still 3 o'clock. And we ain't
3
taking
o'clock
the first
already?
break here. We have a caller too? Oh, caller coming right now. Let me just read this comment. Latanya says, the caller has to understand the officer claimed it and called it an eviction process. Officer Barnaby shut them down after Ms. Curry taking the necessary process by the courts. He was claiming that they were to be evicted, which is not correct because none of them were able to present any rental receipts or documents.
Yes.
All right, we have one more. Let's take a caller and then we're going to go to a break. Caller, welcome to the show.
Good day and God bless you, Michelle. How you doing today?
Hey, good. I'm good, JT. What you say?
I'm happy to wait for your break.
Leah, let's do that. Let
Yeah.
me take a break because it's already 2 minutes to 3.
Mhm.
So you might want to call back after
No,
the
I
break,
don't mind
or you
holding.
can hold either one. All right,
Sure.
so let's take this break. we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're talking Article 24, 24.2
Yes.
of the Constitution. And we sort of referred to what went down this weekend with Miss Curry and her rights to reclaim land that is supposed to be hers. We'll be back after these words from our sponsor. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Global 99.5 FM Facebook page, as well as the official Michelle Malcolm Facebook page. You can reach us on the phone 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or the WhatsApp line for text messages only is 801 801-0271. 801-0271. You can also catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. So my guest today on this Masterclass Monday is none other than Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson. Professor Thompson, as you all should know by now, is a professor who focuses strictly on the Constitution, and he has been helping for the past several months to break it down for us line by line, article by article, so that we can get a better understanding of what the Constitution says as it relates to our rights and responsibilities. Now, somebody is dialing the WhatsApp line. People, once again, I cannot answer the WhatsApp line. Please do not call the WhatsApp line. If you wish to have an opinion expressed on WhatsApp, please send us a text on WhatsApp, but do not call the WhatsApp line, because as of now, I am unable to plug your call into our system. Okay, so if you want to contribute, please do so using the text option of WhatsApp. So prior to the break, we have a caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yeah, JT here still waiting for you.
JT, I almost forgot you. Yeah, I forgot that.
Oh, trust me, I was going to call back if you did.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for the privilege as always. I'm first of all curious to know, might you, Michelle, might you consider having Ms. Curry and Lincoln those on your show anytime in the future for her to share with the public anything that she may want to share with us? See, let me tell you why that's important. She does have her right, and I support 100% that she has a right to do whatever she wants to. She doesn't have to prove anything to anybody once the court has given her the authority to do what she knows her rights are to do. What I do think it would help for her, though, is to come on anybody's talk show and let the public know, for the sake of the public, all that she does have for the sake of educating, enlightening, and informing us, that we may have a better understanding. But at face value, she doesn't need to do that. It's not a matter of her proving. It's only a matter of her getting public opinion, I dare say, on her side.
And then again, what does it matter if she has public opinion? I'm not saying that I wouldn't consider inviting them, but what does it matter if she has public opinion on her side?
Because it will help more of us to be more educated, enlightened, and informed as to what we need to do in the processes we may need to go through if we're faced with something similar to what she's dealing with. For
Listen,
one,
man, JT, the Constitution is clear.
Michelle, I agree with you.
Very clear.
I do not.
Hold on, JT. It's in black and white for everybody to access. You can go. Y'all could Google everything else.
Mm.
Google Constitution of the Bahamas. The whole PDF document comes up for you to access. You can download it to your phone. You can read it morning, noon, and night. You can meditate on it. The Constitution of the Bahamas is clear. And if you don't understand it, you can tune in every Monday.
Indeed.
To GPS and let the professor break it down for you.
You see, I agree, Michelle.
Public opinion, not to say that, it wouldn't help her from a PR perspective,
right.
But this is not a matter of public opinion.
It is not a matter of public opinion. It is not. It's a matter of constitutional right and authority.
Exactly.
And I get that. And see, this is why I said I agree with your position in that regard. There is no dispute that this lady has the right to do what she's doing. But my only thing is that if she can get more of the public on her side, who knows?
Who cares? My point
do.
is getting the public on her side is not going to get her constitutional rights to be recognized. It's not.
Boy, that's a serious comment you just made, Michelle.
But it's the truth.
But Michelle,
if she has gone through all of the proper channels she was supposed to go through, because this is still, as far as I know, a nation of laws.
That's what the Constitution says.
Last time
I checked. Preamble.
So
that's the foundation.
So what does it matter if 1 million people agree with her and say, yeah, she right, if we still aren't going to follow the laws of the land?
Well, they say in politics, Michelle, that numbers count. So I don't know. Right now, see, I am 100% in support of Ms. Curry. From the constitutional point of view and from the nationality point of view. I am 100% in support of her. Because once she had been given the authority to do by the courts what she went to do, no police officer dressed up in no kind of khaki or whatever he was dressed up in, or to have come there and interfered with her. And like you all said, I did get to listen to the video, but I heard you all saying that the senior officer came there and wanted to speak to her privately. I'm suspect of that too, suspicious of that too.
And I tell you what nobody tell me. I watch him say that to the woman.
Indeed. But my thing is, if
I don't do social media. I want to talk to you and nobody else could be there. Just me and you.
There's something wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. If you wanted to do that in secret and in private, something is wrong with the picture. And that there alone should have given them the indication that something was wrong with his approach to them. They should have still gone ahead and do what the courts gave them the authority to do. They have the right to do it, but the court gave them the authority to exercise that right. You see, the thing here, Michelle, is a landlord and a tenant. The landlord and the tenant have natural rights based on their contract. Okay? They don't have to necessarily go to court. That court is there when there is a dispute, or one side or the other is refusing to abide by the contract.
Okay, but I want to read a comment because people seem to keep missing this point. I want to read a comment from Bilal.
Go ahead.
You can't evict anyone if there is no lease agreement. So I don't know what these people are talking about. As far as the Constitution goes, these people were trespassing.
Exactly. They like you said, Michelle, they are in the country apparently and allegedly illegally. They are living on the woman's land illegally. So they have no standing, not by the Constitution, neither by statute law, to be there. So based on that alone, she should have already had the tractors or whatever she went to do on the weekend. She should have gone ahead and done it. And see, Michelle, I do not and cannot and will never agree with the integrity and the soundness of our country's Constitution. Okay? As long as it's based on God's principles, I will never disagree with it. Not all constitutions, support and acknowledge.
Otherwise, what's the point of having it?
Yeah, exactly. What is the point of having a supreme law if nobody or people in authority aren't going to acknowledge or abide by the supreme law? And Professor Thompson, are you aware of? And I'm saying this next point, tongue in cheek, somewhat. Do you have any intentions of giving instructions or classes to the police force on the Constitution?
What is that question?
Whether or not you have any intention to give classes to the police force on the Constitution. I don't think he could just pitch up the headquarters and say, I come to give classes. I do believe he'd have to be invited, eh?
I'm being tongue-in-cheek about that one. Because it seems to me that is one of the very institutions that needs to know and understand the country's Constitution. How can you be operating as a constitutional entity, but you are violating, intentionally or not, apparently or not, violating the Constitution of the citizenry that you're there to protect? This officer who told her that they didn't have the right, he should never have gone there. My question is, why did he go there? Did he go there to interfere with her rights only? Or did he go there for some other reason that may not have been honorable? And I won't go any deeper than that. But I'm sure somebody can read between the lines on that one. Because you cannot tell me, Michelle, that a police officer would go while other police officers are there, unless those junior police officers were violating the law. Once that lady had a court order, those police who accompanied with her were the ones in the right to be there with her.
All right, JT, we have another caller.
I would still, and I'll end on this, Michelle, I would still love to hear her side of the story and to see, and just to show us, just for the sake of showing us, what the courts gave her the authority to do. Because I think that'll help a lot of people to feel more encouraged in regards to supporting her.
All right, thank you.
Even though she has the right to do what she's doing. Thank you, Media.
All right, we have another caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Michelle, what's up?
Everything cool? What you saying?
Great, man. So Sydney.
Hello. How are you?
What's up? This blackmail, man. Everything good?
Yeah, everything on the quiet.
Yeah, top shape. Michelle, first of all, me and you watched the same video. The lady said from 2011, she went to the now Prime Minister, before he was the Prime Minister, to help her with this situation.
Okay.
The court document she had, I believe, was an eviction notice from 2014, but she couldn't get anyone to serve them. No police officer. In relation to what the gentleman who spoke before JT, Lincoln Bain was on social media long time giving the facts in relation to Mrs. Curry's situation. So that is public knowledge. Now, I don't know how far they want Ms. Curry to go. Richard, I'm in agreement with you. All you got to do is abide by the Constitution, and there's nothing to prove. We talking with the police, breaking the Constitution. We have right now the Jane Rooney case where a judgment came down on the 15th of December. And the appellant, the attorneys for the appellant Rooney and the respondent, the government, both agreed they were on common ground that Rooney could not become a citizen because he did not use his entitlement where he was able to apply between the age of 18 and before his 19th birthday. But yet we still have the government giving out citizenship to people who passed their 19th birthday. Michelle, have you looked in the newspaper lately?
Yeah, I saw that and I heard people saying that. Now, here's the thing what we need to take into consideration. And I have another caller. It may be where they applied within that 18 to 19 time frame, but it took this long for the authorities to respond to that application. That is a possibility as well. That I think people aren't taking into consideration. They may have applied within the allotted time.
Agreed. By looking at faces, you see some people almost 45. So you believe now that was from the age of 18. And now age 45. So Brent Simonet and the other governments miss all of those people?
I'm not saying that is the case in everyone. I'm just saying that there's a possibility that some people may have fallen into that category. Where they applied within the, and trust me, the immigration authorities will tell you plenty people in that position where they applied within the appropriate time and their applications have thus far been ignored. Plenty people in that position.
All right, point number 2. Okay, well, if we accept that they applied between the 18 and 19 birthday, then the renunciation argument doesn't hold water. But let's just say, hypothetically, they did not apply based on the amendments of the Haitian Constitution, which we spoke about the other day.
Right.
They are unable to renounce, therefore they're unable to get citizenship. You see? The government needs to put everything on the table and to be honest with the Bahamian people. We ought to know exactly what is what in relation to who is in the waiting room and in relation to who is getting stuff in a wicked way.
Okay. Now, caller, we have another caller. Plus, I don't want to take us off track from where we're supposed to be today, because it's supposed to be today a show about the Constitution. Okay.
I got you. We're talking about it, but I got your point. No problem.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So let me take this other caller. Caller, welcome to the show.
Good day, Lady Malcolm. How you doing?
Excellent. How are you?
And to your guests.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I am 15% behind you and your guests today, Lady Malcolm. Ain't no explaining, ain't no nothing. The law is the law.
Exactly.
If once that lady produced her papers given by the government, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the law should take its course. Now, if she been everywhere to get some kind of resolution to her problem and she got none, and she has her papers, she could ask me, are you the helper? She could say, man, listen, I got some stuff in my yard. I want a little shack in the back. I need you to break that down. But what I see further than this, that second in command police officer, that deputy police, has a personal interest and vendetta against Lincoln Bain. That is what I see coming through all this, because he had no right, with officers already there, as the second in command to go there and do what he did. He had no right to do that, Lady Malcolm. And you know what message that was he sent to those immigrants? You know what message that was? Anyway, I'll hang up and listen to your response.
All right. Thank you so much for calling. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, see the problem what I see here is people are getting into all kinds of suppositions
and missing the main
and
point.
misinformation and missing the main point. I
Mhm.
couldn't give a hang. It was the commissioner himself.
Right.
The law is supreme. The
Right.
Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas is supreme,
That's
not the
the
word of a
point.
particular personality.
That's the
We
point.
need to understand that. I couldn't give a hang what kind of message he claims he was sending to whoever.
Mhm.
The message is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is the supreme law, lock, stock, and barrel,
And therefore it's never
irrespective
wrong.
of what. Oh, it's never wrong.
Mhm.
Never. It is always right. And so when I hear the callers calling in, and I can understand how they feel because they're not constitutionally sound.
Mm.
They have to become constitutionally sound. And I don't mean to be harsh when I say that. I am delighted that they're waking up. That's a good thing.
Mhm.
But you're going to find that with the misinformation out there about this supreme law, it will sway people one way or the other. So one has to be patient and one has to understand, listen, it's good they're waking up. It's going to be good for the country. And all of this crap that's coming from these different quarters, the Bahamian people are going to know exactly who they are because they're going to be clearly identified and say, no, we can't listen to you. You're talking crap. The point is, I am going to concentrate on that which is positive. The Bahamian people are asking good questions. I listen to all the different shows. I don't hear one single answer to the important questions they're asking in relation to their constitutional right. All we get is a bunch of ideas. Oh, I think this, I think that. No, that can't help you.
Mhm.
What does the Constitution say? We have to give solid, reliable, responsible, accurate constitutional information to the Bahamian people. And that's what I'm here to do today.
And contrary to what one of the callers said earlier, there is no gray.
No, there's none. There isn't any. See, what people try to talk about is, they have these feelings and these emotions, and that's understandable. That's at its place and time.
Mhm.
People need proper knowledge and understanding of the law. People will give their opinions of the law. I heard someone say, well, he ain't hear no constitutional lawyer say anything. So what? So what? Because he didn't say it, that means the Constitution is now invalid? Because he didn't say it, you got to be out of your mind. Come on. I heard that comment on the show. I said, wait a minute now. Who is supreme? The constitutional lawyer or the Constitution?
Mm.
He has a right to his view. I'm not even getting into that. He has a right to his opinion. Because I remember the first time I went to the lawyer, he gave me his opinion of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind said to me, he said, Professor, you need to know the law for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And Ms. Malcolm, I never turned back. From that very day I came out of that office, I say, no, sir, never again. But that ever happened. And I don't fool around with them. I'm not saying I don't listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
I hear them. But now I can answer them intelligently and responsibly and accurately and precisely. As I studied the Constitution, and I know constitutional law. Many people out there, and I have to keep telling myself that they don't know it. They don't understand it. They have to learn it. And that's good. People want to learn. People want to understand what is happening. So we have to be patient with them. I'm very patient with them. But you got a lot of nonsense out there, a lot of crappy talk out there, which will mislead and persuade and deceive the people.
Mm.
Just because you say it, because you're in a particular position, that's supreme? No, sir, it's not.
Mm. Okay, we got to take a break, y'all. Because I got to pay my bills.
Yes, ma'am.
And these people whose ads we play are keeping this show on the air.
Yes.
So without them, there would be no
No
GPS.
joke, there won't be none. That's right.
And I will encourage you, if you are a business owner, if you have a service that you provide and you enjoy these shows, I love the fact that you're enjoying the show,
Yeah, but you
but
gotta sponsor.
yeah,
Amen.
this is a business, this radio
Exactly.
station running, and we
That's
need
right.
sponsors. So definitely give us a call and sponsor the show. and you'll get your business promoted to a growing audience.
Yes.
I tell you, all over the place I go, Miss Malcolm, I love your show. I'm trying to buy it from myself. But the show is growing in popularity and gaining a lot of traction. So you know you plant in good soil when you plant in GPS. We have to take a break. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. Caller, you on the air?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, hello. Good day to you and Mr. Thompson, Ms. Malcolm. I watched the video. I watched the whole video.
Mm-hmm.
And now, the fourth caller before, like JT and the rest of them, who trying to justify certain things, right? I look at it this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say to my wife, and I basically I was saying the same thing what he was saying. I said they can't have no court order. Because if they have a court order, and Mr. Barnaby went there and did what he did, that means he is in contempt of court.
Mm-hmm.
So he now should already be arrested by his boss. Okay? And if Mr. Barnaby ain't arrested yet for contempt of court, that speaks to this whole system. And if his attitude as a senior police officer, what they say, he's the third or the second in command. With that attitude, you had Mr. Delaware the other day, and now him that day, without arrogance. Any civilized country, a senior officer act in that manner, his boss would already rebuke him. His boss didn't rebuke him, and the politician didn't rebuke him. So now we as the citizens of this country, we in trouble. Okay? Because no one coming out to rebuke bad behavior. Okay? If that was somebody's child and they was carrying on that man about the place, first thing they would say, I wonder is he parent? Look how he carrying on. You think he parent like that? So just how Mr. Barnaby carry on, Mr. Delaware carry on, that's the thinking of their boss and the leaders of this country, and even the Christian community of this country, who sits by and let all this abuse happen to citizens of this country. In 1979 or 78 or 80, I had some neighbors who was in the yard where my grandmother was living, where he was leasing. Mm-hmm. And they had a father who went off to sea. And they didn't pay the lease for years. And when the police came with their bulldozers, not the police with the bulldozers, when the owner came with his bulldozers, along with the police, because Mr. Bean and the lady, they brought a police. That's the tenets of eviction. You bring the police. And once you have a court order saying you get evicted, you could stop any police on anywhere on the road and say, I need you to accompany me with this order. And they bulldozed their house with everything in the house. Because why? They was given the eviction to leave. But they didn't. I had some neighbors on the side of me, were given eviction to leave the apartment. The bank repossessed the place. They didn't leave in time. The police came, did the eviction again, order everybody things in the yard, and as they put them in the yard, the rain came and wet up everything. And I had to run and give them cannabis. Tough decisions made every day in this country. Judges send people to jail every day, but not worrying or not thinking of what happened to their families or whatever, because why? The judge have a job to do. So all this excuse, but if I do this, what will happen, and where they can win, and all this nonsense, all is garbage. Okay? And I think we really need to understand what's going on here as a people. Okay? You see what the first thing one of the men do? He yuck out a work permit and he shows a former senior politician. See, he's my boss. That's supposed to scare somebody. That's supposed to say, hey, you can't touch me because this is my boss. But I want Mr. B and them to know, and I will, like Mr. Thompson say, you have a right to secure your property. And even the ones who had no one in them, Mr. Barnaby should have not stopped them from knocking them down. All he display is arrogance as a police officer, because that's what it is, it's arrogance. Okay? If I have tenants rent for me, and if my tenants don't pay me my rent, and they are not in that inside that building, I have a right to secure my place without going to no court. Okay? I have that right as a citizen to secure my place.
We have some weird laws in this country now when you talk about the tenant and landlord relationship. That's why one of the reasons why I'll never become a landlord, because in many instances it seems that the
people might say that, right?
More
people
rights
might
than
say
the
that,
landlord.
but okay, like I said to you, if they leave that property, you have a right to secure it. And no police, once you to secure your property, could tell you left no one in there. Okay? Just like how Mr. Barnaby had the right to tell that lady she couldn't have knocked down a vacant place on her property. Because if it was me, I was going to knock that down in the front end, because you could tell me I can't knock down something in my yard. In my yard. Under which authority he acted on when he did that. Okay? Different from being arrogant. And you know what's so amazing about it? This is what he says. He says, if you ain't live in the backyard, go from in the backyard. Everybody in the business in the backyard, y'all leave. None of them business in the back there. Huh? None of them, because the rightful owner didn't want them there. Okay? Just like what they did to Mr. Bean by Bahama. The owners of Bahama didn't ask Mr. Bean to leave, you know. for them to say he was trespassing. That's why when he sued him, he can win. The owners didn't ask him to leave. The owners of Bahamas, they just didn't want him there. And they didn't have a right to don't want him on Bahamas property. The owners didn't went to the police and say, we have this man here and we want him to leave. Okay? So that's why they can lose their case too. And thank you for taking my call.
All right. Thanks for calling. Let me just read this comment real quick, and then you can respond, Professor. This commenter on WhatsApp says, truth is not democratic. One person can reason as well as 100, and 100 people can be just as wrong as one. A position is not necessarily true merely because it is held by a lot of people, nor is a position necessarily false merely because it is held only by a few. All right, go ahead and
no, I agree with the text that what you just read. I agree with that because that could be true. But then what the other caller said, the last caller just now, he did bring out certain points. But what I'm going to say to the public is this, because I can see this getting to the point where it can become ugly. But I would say to the public, that's why I say to them, it is time now. If Bahamians want to change things in this country, you're going to have to organize yourself. And I believe our big weakness right now is proper organizational structure on the ground in the constituency where you live. The Constitution talked about constituencies. Persons living in the constituencies are called constituents. You have two categories of constituents: registered constituents in a particular constituency, unregistered constituents in a particular constituency. The thing is that people need to get to know one another. You don't have to get in people's personal business. I've known people for more than half a century, husband and wife. I know the husband very well, know the wife very well. They didn't tell me nothing that they were married. And then the two of them laugh at me, say, Mr. Thompson, you didn't know that. But I say, nobody told me nothing. But my responsibility is to be friendly, because I'm going to need those people. I'm going to need them further down the road. And that's why I'm saying to people, now is the time to be well organized on the ground to take the necessary action that is essential to protect your interests. This is where Article 24.1 kicks in. It's the only place in your Constitution where that last phrase is in Article 24.1. For the protection of your interests. And this is what the lady was doing. Now let's apply that to an entire constituency. There are things that affect people in a given constituency. They need to be organized for what? The protection of their interests. Because it affects all of them. You can't say it ain't affecting me. You can wait until something tragic happens before you realize you got a problem.
Right.
You see things brewing up. And that's why I'm saying to people, if you don't know, then you call and ask for someone who can help you. I'm prepared to help them. I got more than 50 years experience in this. So I know what I'm talking about. How you can get on well with your neighbors. And I know some people, they got some ways about them. But the point is, that's not important. What is important is what is in this constituency that affects all of us. Are we prepared to work together to make a difference in our constituency? That is very, very important. And people need to look at that, understand that, get to know your people, but don't get personal with them. And I know that's kind of difficult for some people to do because they get very personal. But I tell them that's not the way to go. You could know them very well, but you don't have to be personal with them.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Michelle, to you and your guest.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Let me ask you a question in reference to what Mr. Thompson just said about the constituents getting together and organizing.
Yes.
Can we as a people put our political differences aside? F&M and PLP get together for a common goal for the flight of the Bahamian people. Can we put our differences aside? Because at the end of the day, that's our biggest problem. We can't put our differences aside to come together for one common goal. And I think that's really hindering us from progressing as a country.
I think the caller has a valid point. Let me just say this. I draw the analogy of St. Barnabas Church and you work in the BDC. The persons who go to St. Barnabas Church, they don't make the mistake going there Monday morning at 10 o'clock. They go Sunday morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to
The
make a call,
members
please.
of St. Barnabas Church have different functions, different jobs, and they go to their professions.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them work the BDC. They don't tell their members in St. Barnabas, all y'all leave your job and come work the BDC. When he goes to BDC, you got all these different people with all these different religious beliefs, but they perform together for what? For the purpose of BTC. They don't ask, well, I don't like you with your Adventist self. I don't like you with your Baptist self. Don't have nothing to do with me. They all work in harmony, and they go to their respective churches on Sunday or whatever, or even Saturday for some who may be Adventist. The point is, I'm not even going to mention anything about politics because I know just how that conversation is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I am going to speak strictly to the Constitution. It does talk about political parties, but that's not the issue. I think people get all mixed up, then this row over this party, that party, and that kind of thing. What people need to understand, and I'm happy the caller brought it up, is that we all live in a given constituency. There are issues that affect us as constituents. Constituents are either registered constituents or constituents that are not registered in that constituency.
Mm-hmm.
What my understanding is from the Constitution, this is why I stick rigidly with the Constitution. You can have your political leaning to a particular political party. That's a whole different horse of a different color.
Mm-hmm.
But you're all constituents. What happens in that constituency affects all of us. Do we have an interest to protect in the constituency? Yes, you do. And so it's going to take people coming together. Do you have a master plan for your constituency? Then people could work on that. And you just have to get to know one another better. I think the problem with us as a people is we get too personal with one another. I don't like this one because this, that, and the next thing. Miss Malcolm, I know people all over this place, and I never get personal with them. I tell them I got 50 plus years experience in this. I know them very well. And mind you, they tell you all kinds of things, but you can't talk it. I tell people that all the time because they know they're not going to hear it on ZNS or even Global for that matter. But the point is, there are things that affect us as constituents.
Mm-hmm.
We have to look at it objectively, come together to protect our interests. There's only one place in the Constitution where it speaks that's the last phrase of Article 24.1. And people have been overlooking that from the beginning. So I can understand what he is saying, but just like people go to BTC and do BTC work and they belong to different political parties and different religions, those things don't come to play. They just come to do BTC's work.
Right.
Okay, so why then in a given constituency, hear these things that affect us? And you mean to tell me we don't have enough sense to say, listen, we are constituents in a given constituency, and I'm looking at you with jaundiced eye, and you live right across the road from me. The same conditions that affect you affect me. So we have to come together as constituents. That's a constitutional word now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like to use it. Constituents in a given constituency. That's how we have to organize on the ground. And it has to be strong organizational structure. You have people in there who can do it. It doesn't matter what political party they associate with or what church they go to, what lodge they belong to, because these very same people are members of these different things, but we're not talking about that. That's not what we're discussing. We're discussing issues that affect constituents in a given constituency, and then you could take that and multiply that all across the country.
Okay, we have to take a break. On the other side of the break, we're going to look at public morality,
morality.
and public health,
Yeah.
as stated in Article 24.2A1.
Yes, ma'am.
Lord have mercy. All right, we'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy, with mailboat to U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. My guest today is Professor Sidney McArthur Walter Thompson. We are, of course, on this Monday looking deeply into the Constitution of the Bahamas, as we do in every masterclass on a Monday here. And we are still looking at Article 24 of the Constitution. We sort of skipped ahead because we were supposed to be at 15, but based on recent developments within the country, we decided to skip ahead to Article 24. And so looking at Article 24, again, there are 2 sections that we need to finish off, and that is to do with public morality is one of them. And I'm just scrolling down. And the second
Public
one,
health.
public health. Yeah, let's break those two
Okay,
down.
let's break those two down. Now, public morality. Now, when you go back to the preamble of the Constitution, the Constitution says we are a nation under God, the supremacy of God. That meant the founding fathers, the mothers and fathers of the nation, wanted a nation guided by God. Now, the Holy Bible, which is the Word of God, has a moral code. It means it tells us how we ought to behave one toward another. Now, there are some things that are not decent, that are not proper. That's not the way to behave. Those who were brought up in a Christian society, a Christian country, like the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Now, people say, well, the Bahamas is a religious nation. Yes, you have people with different religions, but the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is based on Christian values, spiritual values, which include the moral code. Now, there are some things you don't go naked in public. You have to address appropriately. Okay? So you may have somebody who may come up and they want to do something that's not decent or not, which may be obscene. And they may apply for permit to do so. That, say they're enjoying their freedoms, enjoying this. And it has to be looked at in the interest of what? The interest of the public. Okay? And so it may have to be denied because of the fact that we have a moral code that we go by. And we say, no, we can't allow that. And it has to be explained to people so they will know why it cannot be allowed. Now, if they want to do that.
My question is, who determines what that moral code is? Because I'll give you an example. Some might argue, we have Carnival coming up again.
Yes.
And some might argue that for all intents and purposes, people on the road naked. I mean,
Yes.
they really ain't covering much.
Yes.
So how is it that is okay? That passes the test of the moral code. Who determines what that moral code is?
Who is checking the test? Who is examining the evidence? You see what I'm saying? If we don't have a standard, if we're going to have a standard on Christian values and Christian morality and Christian principles, fine. That's one thing. But if you're going to allow any and everything into your country, which goes contrary, see, there are some things we have to say no to. We have to say, no, we cannot allow that. No, we cannot accept that. Being a godly nation doesn't mean we accept any and everything, because in other countries where they have different religions, the Islamic religion, there are certain things they do not allow because it's contrary to their moral code.
Moral code, right.
Now, in the Bahamas, it should be the same thing. But if you just let any and everything, people just practically naked in the street, that's a morality problem. Now, if they want to do that in the privacy of their own house, fine. Or in the privacy of their own facility, fine. But publicly, public morality, the Constitution speaks to that. In the interest of public morality, in the interest of the public. How does that affect the public? How does this affect the young people coming up? We always like to talk about protecting the young people. Now you got some other funny things where they're coming up with, and I want to speak to this morality issue right here. I want to bring this in.
Okay.
We ain't sure whether that's male or female. We have personalities purporting to be what they are really not. That's a public morality problem.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It has to be. Because you are perpetrating a fraud. Now, there's a law against fraud, right? If I give you false money. And you,
Professor, you know how big that can of worms is what you just opened.
I meant to open it up because the thing is, we got to understand what we're dealing with. You open that up, and we need to look at it objectively. Is it right or is it wrong? Does it go according to the Christian values and spiritual values on which the country was built? It does not mean in the Bahamas we just accept any and everything. Some people have this view that we should accept any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's not the way it is supposed to be. Yes, you have freedom of conscience. Yes, you have freedom of religion. But your individual freedom or your grouping, right, which is a section of the Constitution. That's why when we cut Article 15, we're going to see that spelled out very clearly.
Okay.
It cannot supersede the will of the majority of the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, the principles on which the nation stands. See, if we didn't stand on that, then they wouldn't be arguing about this foolishness.
Professor, we only got 6 minutes left in the show. I need you to touch on the portion that talks about public health. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is a major issue. The health of the nation. In fact, you have diseases, people who are suffering from different diseases. We have still the virus going around.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my sister is particularly concerned where she goes and who she comes in contact with. And we were at an event just yesterday. And I'm simply saying that you really don't know who is who, but you have to take the necessary protective measures to protect your health. And I even understand now there's so many people that are dying quietly at home. It's not even reported anymore. But you just see this whole listing on the television screen. You see this whole listing in the papers. And you say, well, what's going on here? And then I was shocked when I was told that some persons who I knew privately, personally, had passed. And I was surprised. I said, well, I didn't hear anything or knew of anything. They were sick or anything like that. Ms. Malcolm, we have a health problem in this country, a very serious one, right? Now, again, for purposes of public health, yes, you have a right to your freedom. Freedom to have that enjoyment, unfettered right, yes. That's all well and good.
Mm-hmm.
But it cannot be where you are endangering the health of your people for you to enjoy that. That is why it is important that the authorities make the distinction to make sure that the health of the public is secured without those persons participating, whatever they're participating in, whatever they're doing. It doesn't endanger the community. It doesn't endanger the constituency or the area where that event is being held. So the safety of the public, their health, is very important because, you know, when people get sick, it's very expensive and costly. I rather stay well. I know one doctor told me, my private doctor said, Professor, stay well, don't get sick. I said, well, I can work on that. But you have some challenges. And so, Ms. Malcolm, you don't know when someone is going to come up with something weird, something foolish, something stupid, and seek permission to carry it out in a given community, which could endanger the health of the people. And when that happens, that activity has to be stopped or not allowed. And then it has to be explained to them. You just don't do it and say, no, you can't do it. No. You have the business to explain to them. And I think, Ms. Malcolm, a lot of times, a lot of things are not explained. And so there's total confusion. The interest of the public, the interest of this group that wants to have this freedom to enjoy whatever it is they feel they need to enjoy.
Right.
But it cannot be at the expense of the health of the people in a given community. That's why all those clauses, I think it's about 6 or 7 of them in there, that are specifically spelled out as it relates to your enjoyment, to your freedom of association, freedom of assembly, to be able to perform as you would like to. But those factors have to be considered every time. And so it cannot be to the danger when it comes to the health, because health is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people want to live. I want to live till man come back. But the point is that I have to take precautionary measures to protect my health. And that is what the authorities ought to be doing on my behalf when I see them giving these or allowing certain things to happen in a given constituency or in a given area, wherever the event may be held.
Wow, another full show today. We are out of time, Professor. Time flew by once again today. I want to thank you so much for being here and being a part of the show. And of course, all of you who would have called in or sent us a message on Facebook or WhatsApp or simply listened. I want to thank you so much for your participation, but my time is gone. Got to get out of here.
Yeah, those comments were good.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to, continue to look at issues that are major concern to the country. And I'm going to do my best to try to get voices that will cause you to think. That's what my goal is through this show, to get you to consider a paradigm shift. Because Lord knows we got to start to think outside the box, people, because the old way ain't working no more. All right? Okay. So that's my time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care and be safe.
Global 99.5 FM reminds